Live-action puppetry is an art form that's rarely used for mainstream cinema nowadays, but it has a charm and magic to it, a tangibility that makes us believe in a physical presence. However, many assume that puppetry is limited to Thunderbirds or Jim Henson's The Muppets and Sesame Street, when really, puppetry is a very broad filmmaking technique that encompasses not just marionette and hand, but also motor mechanics, bodysuit acting, and remote control animatronics. In this show, I will highlight the best and the worst that puppet cinema has to offer, but trying to keep an open mind about what I count as puppetry. Because when it comes down to it, live-action puppetry is the art of bringing an inanimate object to life while a camera rolls. Welcome, one and all, to the world of Puppet Panic. Howdy folks, Jamboree here. Ghostbusters is considered to be a cultural phenomenon and such an important part of film history. When I was a kid, I was completely obsessed with it. Heck, here is my original VHS copy of Ghostbusters in all of its nostalgic glory. Oh, you can smell the memories. And now I feel old. I'm 28, I shouldn't feel old. Anyway, I think it's important for me to now ask the question, how well does Ghostbusters hold up for me as an adult? Let's find out. When three scientists called Peter Venkman, Egon Spengler and Ray Stantz are kicked off their university campus for doing unconventional experiments related to the paranormal, they decide to start a business called Ghostbusters, a company that provides the service of trapping supernatural spirits. They also bring an unemployed man called Winston on board without even looking at his qualifications. Meanwhile, a woman called Dana is living her ordinary life when strange things start happening in her home and she finds another universe in her fridge. While their independent business grows, the Ghostbusters try to work out what's happening at Dana's apartment. The backbone of this movie is the dynamic between all the Ghostbusters. It's the perfect mix of personalities. What separates them is what makes their interactions so fun. Venkman, the cheeky, sarcastic flirt, Egon, the dry-toned science nerd, Ray, the adorable geek with a childlike spirit, and Winston, the regular Joe just looking for work. Notice how varied these men are, none of them are a clone of the other, and each one is designed to clash with or work off another Ghostbuster. These guys aren't your typical heroes either. That's what makes them so relatable and endearing. The idea that anyone could become a Ghostbuster is what draws people to this film, because they can picture themselves in this fantastical fun job too. I mean, most people can relate to the idea of a group of friends starting their own independent business, based on their passions or hobbies, fighting to make their dream come to life despite all the pessimistic doubt from others or pressuring obstacles along the way. This is what makes the Ghostbusters business successes so triumphant. We know how hard it is to turn a niche into a profitable job. We resonate with every single step forward in the Ghostbusters journey. These men aren't exactly professional, they're mainly experimenting with something brand new. A lot of them are qualified to do these jobs being scientists, but they're putting their scientific enthusiasm before sensibility or practicality. However, it's hard to get annoyed at their sloppiness when their passion is exciting to watch and their antics make for great comedy. It helps that all the Ghostbuster actors are fantastic in their roles. Bill Murray is killing it with his dry quips.
Symmetrical book stacking, just like the Philadelphia Man's Turbulence of 1947.
You're right, no human being would stack books like this.
Harold Ramis's deadpan delivery is perfect for the serious Egon.
Do you have any hobbies?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Dan Aykroyd bounces with energy as Ray.
Wow, this place is great. When can we move in?
And Ernie Hudson nails the straight act of the group.
Hey, Gar! Look, I want to make a phone call. Yeah, just work with these guys, man. I wasn't even there.
But it's not just the Ghostbusters themselves that hold the film together. All the other supporting characters build the world around our heroes, even playing very big parts in the overall story. They're all great characters in their own rights. Dana, played by sci-fi queen Sigourney Weaver, is just wanting to live a happy, healthy life, but she's being thrusted into a strange new world and becomes charmed by the quirky, wisecracking Venkman.
What is that thing you're doing?
It's technical. It's one of our little toys.
I see. That's the bedroom. but nothing ever happened in there.
What a crime.
Janine, portrayed by Annie Potts, is your archetypal secretary, but she's working for a company that's getting no business, having conflicted feelings about it all, both frustrated with having no breaks and excited when they get a new customer.
Yes, of course. Oh, they'll be totally discreet. Thank you. We got one!
Lewis, played by 80s icon Rick Moranis, is a socially awkward geek that hilariously becomes empowered by supernatural forces.
I am Vince Clortho, Keymaster of Gozer. Volga Sildro, our Lord of the Sabulia. Are you the gatekeeper?
Hey, he pulls the wagon. I make the deals. You want to ride?
And finally, Walter Peck, portrayed by William Atherton, is the clueless authority figure who is putting his ego before the greater forces at hand, and eventually messing with things he ultimately doesn't understand.
I am Walter Peck, sir, and I'm prepared to make a full report. These men are consummate snowball artists. They use sense and nerve gases to induce hallucinations. People think they're seeing ghosts. And they call these bozos who conveniently show up to deal with the problem with a fake electronic light show.
Everything was fine with our system until the power grid was shut off by Dickless here.
But this movie isn't just a comedy, it's also a horror. Most of the ghosts in this film are supposed to be genuinely scary, and this actually helps the comedy function. Now, hear me out, one of the foundations of comedy is subversion, so writers Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, as well as director Ivan Reitman, had to create horror that was intentionally threatening and intimidating. So when the Ghostbusters would come to the rescue, it would make for hilarious contrast. These are goofy nerds in jumpsuits who make wisecracks, aren't physically fit, and lack social etiquette, coming face to face with demonic spirits that could endanger the world. That is funny. Dan Aykroyd actually believes in ghosts himself, which you can make of what you will, so he has a sincere interest in the paranormal that comes shining through the screenplay, and the ghosts are written to be as believable as possible. But not all of the ghosts are meant to be chilling presences. One in particular has stolen fans' hearts, that being Slimer, a fun and silly green spirit who loves to eat all he wants. He may only have one scene, but he steals it. He stands out as one of the more tongue-in-cheek ghosts, being less threatening but still very difficult to catch due to his boundless hyperactive energy. Speaking of Slimer, I think it's now important for me to discuss the puppetry for this movie. The puppets, which were created by special effects company Boss Film Studios, are staggeringly good and pinnacle achievements of practical effects cinema. Most ghosts in this movie were portrayed with animatronics, bodysuits, and rubber puppets, each pushing the boundaries for what puppetry can be or do. Puppets can be scary, there's an inherent creepiness to them, and Ghostbusters proves that notion excellently. Heck, they managed to even make a giant marshmallow monster look unsettling. That's really something. With only 10 months to prepare, the whole puppet crew experimented with clever techniques, and their only limit was their imagination. The library ghost has exploding clothes, Slimer's rubbery texture helps his weight look bouncy and tangible, and the demonic dogs are horrifying. You know what, I can imagine kids today being surprised to learn that these ghosts were done with puppets. They're that damn good. I'd have to say that they are timeless efforts and landmark visions. Sometimes stop motion is used, which is noticeable in transition, but I'm guessing that some of the puppets were limited in what they could do physically, like walking or running, so it's understandable that the filmmakers went that way. Ghostbusters not only holds up really well for me as an adult, but I also appreciate new things about it. I've been Jamboree, and I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, then feel free to like, subscribe, and share. In the next episode of Puppet Panic, it's time to carry on the Ghostbusters celebration with a review of its sequel, Ghostbusters 2. Cheerio, folks.